is all this? You got dial bore gauges and you're moving things around and you're checking all kinds of stuff using mathematics and trigonometry and geometry. I know all of this looks fancy and I put it up here to show you all this, but I like to go by the seat of my pants. Why? Because I don't know how to do this stuff. I just enjoy using my piston and valve clay to make little circus animals. It's a goose. Ha, I'm just messing with you guys. We are finally building the stroker motor. Let's get into this. There we go. All right. Locked and loaded, ready to go. Now, pistons are hung, ready to rock. Let's talk about what we're doing. Now, this is not your $3,000 4340 crank, 4340 H-beam rods, a set of Wiseco pistons, all that stuff. Guys, a stock crank alone will do more than enough. I mean, I've taken them to 1,200, 1,300. Stock crank, like I got down there, is plenty. So to upgrade from a cast crank to now what we have is this Eagle 4140 crank. Now, the nice thing about this is much easier to get into. Depending on your reluctor wheel, these will be anywhere from about $750 to, let's just say, maybe $830 to $850. Compare that to the 4340 cranks that are out there that are $1,200. You're saving some coin. Now, the rods and pistons are just as nice and just as simple. This is a I-beam rod, but this is not the SIR beam rod. No, this is the FSI rod. This is a 4340 rod, better cap, ARP 2000 rod bolts. This is still hundreds of dollars cheaper than the H-beam rod. Why wouldn't you just do the H-beam? Because I don't need it. Think about it. If you could run stock and you can make 800 or 900 horse with a turbo, or you put a blower on it or something like that. Let's say we want to make it actually live for a while. You don't go beyond 800 horse. Okay, you're telling me what this stuff is right here isn't better? Exactly. So why not save in the long run $1,000 instead of spending $3 grand? Crank, rods, pistons, rings, bearings. That's about $3,000 to do the standard 4340. In this, I got $2 grand. $2 grand. Open up a Summit catalog, $2 grand. So the pistons on top are a nice Icon flat top piston that'll accept the cylinder heads that I'm doing because we're running a 220 valve. That's right, we're not doing the standard 216. That is equipped with a 220 valve. So we will be checking piston to valve clearance with these bad boys as well. But it's a nice entry level setup. The compression we should have on this thing in that block should be around a very comfortable, about 11.25 to 1. We're gonna double check everything, but those heads are 68 cc's. Stock ones are about 70, so we're gonna get a little bit more compression out of this thing. I need to check how much this piston is gonna be either in the hole or possibly sticking out of the hole, because if you guys don't know this, LS's are almost at 0, if not just sticking out a bit. So we have a 51 thousandths head gasket, but we're gonna go through, we're gonna figure everything out. So I am just finishing up getting the crankshaft put in this bad boy. And you guys are probably noticing that, oh my gosh, man, you're not running studs in this thing? You're out of your freaking mind. Well, studs are fine. And there's points of it going, you don't need them. So why spend $275 if you really don't need them? And especially if you're doing something like this that's NA, and you're only gonna make, let's just say, between 600 and 700 horse, these bolts work great. How many of you guys out there have literally beaten the piss out of these bottom ends with just stock torque yield bolts and just not giving a care in the world? Exactly. And you got guys that are out there time and time again beating the living snot out of these things, making 150 to 200 more horsepower than what I'm making right now. And here's the one that's gonna really boil your noodle. These are the ones that came in the motor. That's right, these got 200,000 miles on them. And I know you guys are gonna be, oh, some of you are gonna be freaking out. Others that have done this before are gonna go, yeah, you're fine. I've reused main bolts plenty of times. You'll be perfectly fine. Not too worried about it, you guys. But crankshaft is in. I'm gonna get the back plate put on. I also got these nifty little spacers that actually will go onto the front cover, they'll go onto the back cover, and it helps you center your covers to where you're gonna get a perfect gasket fit. So this is all good, she's spinning nice. Let's move on to the next. These have come in handy so many times when I'm doing my LS setup. These actually fit right onto the crankshaft on your back setup to be able to do your rear main seal, and you'll get a smaller one. Hold on, I'll grab it. You get a smaller one that fits onto the front of the crankshaft, which then helps center this. Once you actually put your seal in, it'll help center this so the pan will fit on really nice and you won't have any leaks. Time to put the pistons in, but I'm only gonna do one because I wanna check two things before I put them all in, and I could possibly screw myself. I wanna check piston to valve clearance, so that is one big thing because those cylinder heads, like I said, they're not stock valve. Matter of fact, the intake valve's been moved around a little bit. I'll show you that here just one quick second, but I wanna check piston to valve clearance. Now you understand why, it makes sense. And I wanna check compression height. So I'm only gonna do one, and I got it all set up with rings and all that stuff ready to rock and roll. It is set up for the possibility of a little boost or a little nitrous. I normally set my motors up that way regardless. So I have a 20 on the top, 22 on the bottom. It's not set up for a ton of boost or nitrous or anything like that, but a nice amount is what the plan is. Now, like I said, I'm only gonna do one because why am I gonna wanna sit there, put them all in, and let's just say we do have a problem with piston to valve clearance. That makes no sense to put them all in, to have to take them back out, pop the pistons apart, bring them out to Joe, and have him remachine the valve pockets. Doesn't make sense. Why am I worried about that? It's because of those heads. Let me tell you about those heads. This is where the magic is definitely gonna happen with this combination. The stroker build is awesome all by itself, but this is the really, really big portion to hit the numbers that I'm trying to hit. And like I said, I'm shooting for about between 630, 650 on just straight 93 octane, and then on E85, I'd like to see this thing make well into the high 600s. I'd like to see hopefully between say 660 and about 680. I know some people are going, oh man, it's 700 horse. It ain't gonna make 700 horse. Well, what's the cam specs? What intake are you running? What throttle body are you running? All that. We'll get into that later on, but this is probably one of the biggest things. So what the hell are they, Scott? You've been jabber-jawing too much. These are the Edelbrock CNC'd LS3 heads. This is also known as the Victor Jr. head. This is a canted valve head. As you can see here, it is a 220 160 intake and exhaust setup. The combustion chambers are 68 cc's, so stock is about 70, 71. These are at 68. We're gonna get that increase in compression. One of the biggest things you're gonna notice is look at these intake floors. These things are very noticeable now that you can see how it's actually a canted valve in this sense, kind of like what the new LTs would be, like the next generation past the Gen 4s. So it is noticeably a canted valve intake to be able to put that big monster 220 valve more in the center of the bore. So then that way we're gonna unshroud it and we're gonna get more out of it. That is huge. So now when you look at the spring side of things, you can now notice how much of a tip it has. Also, where the rocker arms are gonna be, instead of a straight bar, now we have it set up to where it's not a straight bar anymore. You can actually see how things are shifted around, and you can see the tilt or the canted valve portion of that intake. So that is huge. That, my friends, this thing is gonna flow really, really well. On the exhaust side, it's still in stock port location, but you can see how they shifted the port around a little bit. And these things flow some air. The nice thing is with these bad boys, the way that, flow numbers are just part of the glory here. But at, I believe, 800 lift, these are supposed to flow like 390, 395. I could be a little off here, but I know they're really, really close to hitting that 400 mark. That is a serious head. There is no LS3 head that I'm gonna send off to even Frankenstein, and they're gonna outflow what these heads are, plus the fact of the angle of the valves. It's beyond head flow. It's how things are set up. These are set up differently than a stock LS3 head. These are not just scanned off an LS3 and then they just ran with it. No, Edelbrock went through and changed a bunch of stuff around. So this should hopefully really make some good power. So now you can see why I only want to do that one piston and make sure that I'm not going to have anything piston to valve clearance. What they claim is that you can run a stock style piston and you won't have any problems. But we all know sometimes that's bullshit. And I wanna hope and pray that it is not bullshit and everything's gonna work. So now we're gonna grab this bad boy, we're gonna stick it on the motor, and we're gonna take a look at some stuff. So we are all mocked up. We're at 0 off our deck. All I'm gonna do is slide it onto the piston. Boop, there we go. Now you'd look at it and go, oh man, you're kind of right around 0. All right, we wanna make sure here. So how much do we get? About 3.5. And then about 1.5. Okay, so now this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the negative and we're gonna take the positive. And we're gonna subtract them. So I'm 3.5 on the positive side, I'm 1.5 on the negative side. Taking that away, I'm 2. So that means tenths, hundredths, thousandths, I'm 2 thousandths above the deck. So I have to take that into the whole mathematical equation. Going through, crunching my numbers and figuring it out. So with a 68 cc combustion chamber, I'm 2 thousandths above the deck, and taking into consideration the piston volume, blah, 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 all that stuff, I'm gonna end up at damn near 11.4 to 1. It's 11.385 to 1 compression. So I'm gonna call it 11.4 to 1. At that point, on pump gas, that to me is like pushing the limit of it. But on E85, oh man, this thing is gonna love freaking E85. And yes, you could go way more compression on E, but I'm not doing that. This is enough. This is plenty. So now what we're gonna do, or now what I'm gonna do, because there is no we unless I have a little white mouse in my pocket, you know, oh, how's it out, everybody? But I don't. So in that case, we're gonna break out the clay and we're gonna make some Play-Doh figures. It's a goose. But we're gonna do piston to valve clearance. Sometimes when you're working here by yourself, man, weird things go on. So I'm gonna break out the clay. We're gonna do piston to valve clearance. Hopefully everything's okay and I don't have to have anything machined. Fingers crossed. So let's check it out. So I squished my goose. That's on the piston now, and I'm getting ready to do the piston to valve. Well, I kind of can't do it right now. What I did was I put the stock push rods back in this thing, thinking I could just use those for mock-up. I can't, because, yeah, you see how far this is right here? Yeah, there's the push rod. That's how far away I am right now. It's not even close. But this also gives you guys an idea of how things are set up on these cylinder heads, where you can see how we're tipped and how it's running. I am super excited for those heads, but unfortunately, this is as far as I'm gonna be able to make it. I gotta order push rods and get some other things going. And I know you guys wanna know cam specs and what the heck was that? What was that? What's the new intake? What's the ported setup you're gonna run? What's this? What's this? You're gonna have to hit the subscribe button, you guys. I know, oh, I'm a dick. I'm a big throbby veiny dick. But you guys got to hit that subscribe to be able to see what else is coming down the pipeline. We will wrap this thing up and we're going to get it ready to go. Believe me, I'm more excited about this than what you are, for damn sure. But till we meet again, my friends, I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to check out a couple other videos that are coming down the pipeline. Go back in the library, share them with your dad, your uncle, any car friend that you have. Help grow this channel, help me out, help you out, and we can help each other out. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Woo!